If you decide to break up with a narcissist, their reactions can range greatly. They can obsessively stalk you or do nothing at all and just move on with a new source. When they are the ones who discard, they can still have an extremely negative reaction to the relationship being over. What I want to do in this video is talk about a lot of different reactions that a narcissist will have regarding a breakup, no matter who does it, no matter who ends the relationship. Number 1, they attempt an immediate love bomb. This one will more than likely make an appearance if you are the one trying to walk away and trying to end the relationship. It's really, really important to note that a narcissist wants to be the one who ends everything. Friendships, business arrangements, jobs, relationships. They want all of these things to be over on their terms. And there's a really, really important reason for that, other than getting the ego boost and being able to play the victim and talking about how they just had to walk away because of how awful you are. There's actually more than that, something more important than that. The narcissist obviously needs to make sure that they have a good replacement for you, that they have found a new source, sufficiently groomed this source, which can take time. They need to know that they can love bomb and mirror this person and get them ready before they jump from one person to another. It's called monkey branching, and we talk about it quite a bit. And if you just cut ties abruptly, the narcissist might not be prepared for you to be doing this in that moment. There might not be a desirable source ready. Maybe they thought they had one, but the grooming didn't go so well. Maybe the person told them to kick rocks and it didn't work out. Therefore, you might get love bombed when the narcissist goes into panic mode for lack of anybody else to go with, for lack of anybody else to love bomb and have them take your position. They might future fake you, making all kinds of false promises. The narc might apologize, promise change and loyalty. They might go off and promise things like getting engaged or getting married, really common future faking tricks. They're scrambling and love bombing because there is simply no one else for them to go to, and you've caught them completely unaware, and this is what they think is the best thing to do in this moment. Number 2, they play the victim. Not all narcissists decide that they're going to try to love bomb you to get on your good side. A lot of them might shrink themselves down, they pout, they sulk, and of course become the victim. And this is something you will again more than likely experience when you're on your way out. But if you're the one who discards, they could act like a victim too. Suddenly you might be bombarded with not love bombs, but guilt bombs. And they might sound something like this. Oh, wow, you're leaving me? I didn't even get to explain myself. You won't even listen to me. Look how you're acting right now. You won't give me a second chance? Oh, you're really going to act like this? Does this make you feel good what you're doing right now? Don't you even realize how much this hurts me? I have to go. Look how awful you are. I mean, what am I supposed to do now? Look at me. Now you've given me nowhere else to go. You might hear something along those lines, and maybe you already have at one point or another. Playing the victim is always a nice little package that a narcissist can deliver when they need you to feel really uncomfortable things like guilt and shame, remorse, perhaps even embarrassment over the situation. Number 3, they completely lash out. Some give you kissy faces, some cry the blues, and some are seething and seeing red. Again, something a little bit more common when you're the the dumper, not the dumpy. So this is when scare tactics come into play. Threats, yelling, screaming, destruction of property, violence, and more. They might tell you that if you go through with the breakup, or if you have broken up and you won't return, they'll try to scare you into coming back. They might say something along the lines of, oh, you left me? Well, if you don't come back, then I'm going to ABCXYZ, something along those lines. They will try to scare you into making something work, into returning back to them for undoubtedly another round of abuse. Number 4, they pull the fake out. Sometimes a narcissist will discard you purely to see how you will react to such a thing. I had something, I believe, kind of like this happen to me, and I kind of want to explain it just a little bit. My highly narky, shitty ex and I were having an argument over the phone, And I will be honest, I don't really remember what about. I never sit here and play, that I'm perfect. There's a possibility I was being a bitch and probably a high possibility, but I think there was something I wanted him to do, probably stop cheating on me. I digress, but I remember he declined my request and something happened and very quickly he said, "Fine, we're over, bye," and he hung up on me. And I could tell I had gotten him really worked up. It wasn't normal behavior for him to raise his voice. He was a very docile, emotionally manipulative, gaslighty narcissist, not a yeller, screamer, or anything like that. I remember setting my phone down and going, wow, just like that. Over something so petty. And survivor, between you and I should have just ran like the wind, but of course I didn't. And suddenly about 2 to 3 minutes later, my phone rang and it was him. And the conversation and the tone was very different. It was as if he almost said, "Fine, we're over," and then hung up the phone and went, "Uh-oh, what did I just do? I don't have anybody else good to fill into this position yet." And suddenly the conversation was, "Don't be so unreasonable. Well, come on, let's work something out. Let's talk. Let's just talk about this." And so that's kind of what I call the fake out. It's almost like they do it and then realize they've made a mistake, or they do that just to see how you'll kind of react to the situation. It's kind of like they lash out, "Fine, we're done," and then go, "Oh shit, I don't have new supply. I don't have anywhere else to go. I don't have anyone to abuse." And I kind of feel like this is scare tactic-y, but if something like this has happened to you, type scare tactics down in the comments, because I feel like this is really, really common, something that they do just to scare you, or maybe they even scare themselves. Who the hell knows with people like this? Number 5, they stalk you. They stalk, they harass, and I'm sure this happens regardless. Whether you walk away or they walk away, I don't think it matters. Narcissists have a feeling of possession when it comes to their victims. True narcissism involves a huge sense of entitlement. Therefore, as far as they're concerned, they own you. They're allowed to step out on you. They're allowed to leave you, stalk you, harass you, come back into your life whenever they want to, and leave when they want to. Keep in mind, survivor, if you're being stalked, if you're being harassed, remember you don't have to tolerate this. You can get restraining orders, get private investigators, close down your social media, get new numbers, go no contact, do all these things to work towards making it stop. Now, not every problem like this is solved super easily, but it is something that you can look into to attempt to get some support. Do not let someone stalk you and harass you and try to do these things to you. It is entirely unacceptable. If you'd like to talk one-on-one about what you're going through and what you've gone through in a toxic relationship with a narcissist, you can email BookAChatWithJess@gmail.com to set up private one-on-one conversations with me. Number 6, they flaunt their new supply. I also feel like this is done no matter who says it's over, but I feel like this is more prominent when they leave you. If this has happened to you, also tell me down in the comments. If this has happened to you, who ended the relationship if you found them flaunting their new supply? In my case, social media was flaunted and broadcasted all over social media, and I was the one who discarded, so that's why I'm just curious to know what everybody else has gone through. And this is always done to prove a couple of points as far as someone narcissistic is concerned. It's meant to show you that they can move on. They have moved on. Look how fast they've moved on. It's done to spark pain, jealousy, and give them an additional ego boost. They have found someone to flash to the world to show them just how normal they are. Oh, look, you're the one who's still alone. Look at me. I'm not. I have somebody else. And look, here they are all over my social media. Curiously, to me, narcissists seem to instantly get into a new relationship and they want to share it with the world. This message of, look, I'm normal. Look how fast I can find someone new. This is proof I'm not a psycho. No, it's not me. It's totally you. I'm not the one with the issues. You are. And I just find it somewhat comical because they kind of shoot themselves in the foot. If you're with somebody in a long-term relationship and you hurry up and move on, it's clear you never really had any feelings in the first place. And if someone just stops for a second to read between the lines, I think that's just something that I see it all the time on social media, from this person to this person to that person. And it's like, oh, honey, you don't know. You don't know what you're doing. You think every person every 3 or 4 months is the new love of your life. I see that as psycho behavior, not, hey, look how fast I can move on. We can all move on quickly if we want to. There's 8 billion people in the world. For some reason, they see it as a bragging point. I see it as a vomit point. I guess there's just 2 different viewpoints happening there. But that's why narcissistic behavior, a lot of it is just so comical to me. I see somebody on social media and there's no gaps in all of these relationships. And you just can't help but go, hey, sweetheart, you want to slow down and maybe sort out what your issue is? Because, yeah, you can find someone new, but you're racking up a laundry list of people. I digress. Number 7, they hoover. Narcissists are prone to hoover when they leave, but it's not always the case, I promise you. A hoover is done out of desperation for supply. So even if you walked away and gave them a big middle finger and maybe done more, in times of desperation, they might try to hoover you regardless. They're less likely to, but we don't know how desperate these people get sometimes, and don't try to think about it. Don't confuse that to mean that they don't have supply. I also want to say that. Don't confuse a hoover with they don't have supply. They might very well have other people, other sources. In fact, you should probably go ahead and count on that. But sometimes they feel they need a dose of something from you specifically. Maybe they just want to anger you. Maybe you're good for a fight. Maybe they know they can get you emotional, get you upset, or love bomb you just to see if they can. Never think you'll get the truth from a narcissist. Just because they reach out doesn't mean they're alone. It means they need a hit of supply, and for the moment, you are the drug of choice they want to get that supply from. It is desperate, but they always have other sources. It just means they're bored of them in that particular moment. We have to always remember in the forefront of our mind, these are creatures who are bored very, very quickly. And they will cycle through the same sources over and over and over again to get a hit, and they will hoover when they need a dose. Number 8, they spread a smear campaign. A smear campaign is honestly being run in the devaluing phase of the relationship. It just ramps up once the relationship is over. Interestingly enough to me, when I was hoovered, I actually got an earful, negative of course, about the woman that I was left for and how awful she was. Also an interesting note that he quickly bailed out of that relationship, but now here we are years later, and he's now back with the woman he left me for. You see how they just dig through the same piles of shit? They're not going anywhere new. Super gross. They just recycle these sources, going around and around. He tried to hoover me years ago. That didn't work. Now he's back with the one that he left me for. And man, it's like, you got to feel bad because these people are stupid enough to bite on the hook. I mean, I'm sorry, honey, you're stupid. They already broke up once. I don't know what they think is going to change, but I don't know. Again, my tangent is over. I apologize. But yeah, I got an earful of this woman was awful. She was this, that, and the other. I can only imagine what she was told about me. I'm sure we both got our names dragged through the mud. Interesting, as much as he shit on her when he was hoovering me, they're back in a relationship. Guess she didn't suck that bad, did she? Or maybe they're both just idiots who deserve each other. Number 9, they do nothing. Sometimes they just go dark after a breakup and move forward with a new source of supply, which is honestly what they want to do most of the time anyway. It can be pretty common, especially if the narcissist is maybe particularly attractive, has the gift of gab, and can get new sources pretty easily. Depending on what's going on, that's usually what it is. You know, this dude hoovered me once, you know, the narc I was with, but then he went radio silent. It just is too much for them. I became dangerous. I couldn't be trusted. And he knew that I knew what an asshole he was. And he knew I wasn't weak anymore. And they just don't have any choice sometimes but to move on. They can't risk you hitting the ego or anything else. Sometimes they do absolutely nothing at all. And that's honestly the best we can hope for, is that they just swiftly move on with their lives. So let me know which of these you've experienced down in the comments. If you want more videos on narcissistic abuse, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. I post weekly videos on narcissistic abuse, education, awareness, and of course, support for survivors all over the world. Thank you so much to my subscribers, my channel members who support me every month. Everybody, thank you so much. You make all of this possible for me to continue. Have a great day, survivor, and take care of yourself.